Hey guys, and welcome to beautiful sunny Belgium. Yes, it is a beautiful sunny day here in Belgium, and in this video we're going to be exploring a bunch of comic book murals. I did make another video about it a couple of months ago where we visited a bunch of the murals that were located in downtown center of Brussels, but in this video we're actually going to be focusing on the Gare du Midi, Porte de Halle area, and maybe a little bit of the Marolles area, and we're going to be discovering more comic book murals that are really pretty much all over the city. So let's explore! Through these past couple of decades, Belgium has become renowned for its comic strip history and the great artists that have created such a vast array of characters. Since the early 90s, more and more comic strip murals have been popping up throughout the city of Brussels. For many tourists and even people living in Belgium, this route is a great chance to discover more about this comic history whilst exploring the city. Walking through these streets, I actually stumbled upon a mural which is really dear to my heart, and it's the mural of Boules Et Bill. And the reason that this mural is so dear to my heart, well, it's simple. Well, because I used to actually read this comic strip a lot as a kid. And the comic strip tells the story of Boule the kid and Bill, his Cocker Spaniel pet, and they're just a regular Belgian family having little kid adventures, and the format is usually on one page as like a one-page gag. And this was actually kind of like the French-speaking version of a comic strip that would compete with the English comic strip Peanuts. And yeah, seeing it here in the center of the city just fills my heart with nostalgia, and I just love it. Boules Et Bill not only tells the homely adventures of 7-year-old boy Boule and his dog Bill, but also that of Boule's mother and father and Caroline the turtle. Bill, while slightly anthropomorphized, basically acts as a normal dog, and the whole series places comical adventures in the realistic setting of a normal family in a normal town with normal lives. Most of the gags happen in or around the house, but also include an almost yearly holiday setting with the family traveling away from home and usually at the beach. I know that we're supposed to be focusing mostly on comic strip artwork, but walking through all of these narrow streets in Brussels, I actually noticed that there was quite a few murals that were decorating museums, restaurants, cafes, and just walls in general. And I just love it because it's always kind of like finding little treasures here in the city. And it just makes you want to discover even more, walk even more. And I really feel that every city should actually take this initiative. It just makes it much more pleasant and makes everything so much more colorful. Many of the murals in this video are actually located in the Marolles district in Brussels, which is a popular historic neighbourhood within the city centre. Situated between the Palace of Justice and Brussels South railway station, its inhabitants are called Marolliens. This neighbourhood has actually become very up-and-coming, and as of late is the home to hip techno clubs, trendy pubs, and shops selling indie fashion, records, and antiques. Around the central Place du Jeu de Balle, which hosts a daily flea market, there are modern galleries showcasing work by Belgian and international artists. Here's a mural of a comic strip I really didn't know as a kid, and the name of that mural is Blunder et cirage, which basically translates into English as blondie and polish, which really would not be acceptable in today's society. But if you actually read the comic strip, you'll see that it's not that bad, because Blunder, the blonde guy, is the main character, but Cirage is also one of the main characters, and at the same time, even though he is the comic relief, well, he is also the smart person in the comic strip that usually resolves all the problems. So yeah, even though the name is not that great, the comic strip is not bad at all. And also on a fun note, well, if you do think about it, this was released in 1939, and pretty much Cirage being a main character in a comic strip, well, that's kind of cool, because probably he is actually, probably if not the first one of the first black characters to be portrayed as the main character in a comic strip in the Western world. And just because of that, this comic strip is awesome. Throughout the comic strip albums, Blunder and Cirage go on several adventures which bring them to the United States, Africa, and Mexico. They made their debut in the 29th issue of Petit Belge in 1939. They had 3 adventures during World War II, with Cirage being absent in the last one due to the racial policies of the Nazi occupation. After World War II, they reappeared in Spirou, where their adventures ran from 1947 until 1963. Leonardo da Vinci must have really influenced the Western world, because here in Belgium we have a comic strip called Leonardo that is basically kind of loosely based on da Vinci, but it's more contemporary and has a lot more gags. And basically in this comic strip we have Leonardo that is a self-proclaimed genius who usually invents some sort of invention or something crazy, and he has his disciple try it, and either the invention doesn't go well or it explodes in this disciple's face. But either way, this comic strip is really fun to read, and the mural is really cool too. The stories found within Leonardo are usually short ones ranging from 1 to half a dozen or so pages, though there have been the occasional full-length adventures. Most of Leonardo's adventures are based on more recent real-life achievements, including television, fire extinguishers, cars, and planes. He has also made more fanciful inventions like time machines and robots. This is why we can't have pretty things. As you can tell, this mural has been tagged pretty much all over the bottom, and I just don't understand why people would do this. But either way, this mural is based on this Belgian comic strip called Les Exploits d'Odilon Verjus, which basically follows a missionary throughout the 1930s, where he's going all over the world on these different adventures, followed by his disciple, Laurent Boismenu. And yeah, it is a really cool comic strip, and it is a humoristic comic strip. And yes, even though this mural has been tagged and it is a little bit, well, it doesn't look as great as it should, I'm hoping that the city of Brussels will eventually restore it to its former glory. Léon Verjus has a strong and atypical personality. Through his perspicacity, strength of will, and fighting spirit, he travels the world solving riddles and getting rid of evil through missions entrusted to him by the Vatican. The stories are full of various references to other comic strips such as The Adventures of Tintin or even Asterix and Obelix. Through his adventures, Léon Verjus encounters historical figures and fictional characters such as Edith Piaf, Josephine Baker, the Marx Brothers, Agatha Christie, and even the Blues Brothers. Walking through Le Quartier des Marolles, who did I bump into? Well, Quique Flipkart, which is really cool because it's a comic strip from Belgium that is actually located in Le Quartier des Marolles, and it is created by Hergé, who also created The Adventures of Tintin. And I think that Tintin is pretty known nowadays in America because Spielberg directed a film called The Adventures of Tintin, The Secret of the Unicorn a couple of years back. And yes, the same author created also another comic strip called Quique Flipkart, where these two little young boys basically go through the Quartier des Marolles, and they do a lot of misbehaviors, and they're often basically being chased by Agent 15, who is a police officer that often walks around this neighborhood. And even though they do a lot of misbehaviors, they're not really bad. They're actually really good kids, and seeing them right here just brings me back to childhood. The Exploits of Quique and Flipkart was serialized weekly from January 1930 to 1940 in Le Petit Vingtième, the children's supplement of conservative Belgian newspaper Le XXe Siècle. The series ran alongside Hergé's better-known The Adventures of Tintin. It continued for one extra year in Le Soir Jeunesse until 1941. In 1983, the series provided the basis for an animated television adaptation. This series really expressed Hergé's affection for his Brussels roots. Even though simple in nature, one noteworthy note about the Quique and Flipkart comic strips is that family bonds are reduced to their simple expression, with parental figures rarely appearing and the protagonists growing up more or less alone. Even though this isn't 100% related to comic strips, there's actually 3 tunnels that connect the neighborhoods of La Gare du Midi and La Gare du Nord to the neighborhoods of Annesens and Le Quartier des Marolles. And the reason that I'm speaking about these tunnels is because they actually have a bunch of decorations that are super colorful. They're made by 3 different artists. And even though this neighborhood is slightly sketchy, the fact that they actually made these murals makes it so walkable and almost like an outdoor museum. I've kind of said this many times, but at the same time shows that there's a sort of beautification movement of the city of Brussels, and I just love that. There are a total of 3 murals decorating the arches of the tunnels close to Brussels South railway station. The Milky Way produced by Mathilde van Geluwe, where the illustrator wanted to make use of the tunnel shape in order to represent the Milky Way and constellations. The Benevolent Ancestors produced by Fabienne Lotst, which represents those who watch over the district, and the Petit Gilet produced by illustrator Aurélie William Levaux, which depicts in some ways the meaning of life, with many people working on gardening or even hugging trees and enjoying a dinner surrounded by family and friends. These tunnels are particularly used by its residents because it gives people a shortcut to the main city center and the ability to reach the shopping district much faster. In addition, these installations reinforce the feeling of security and the well-being of the inhabitants by creating a pleasant space with better lighting. Through my journey of trying to find all the coolest murals of the comic strips in the city of Brussels, well, I did go a little bit outside of the center, and more precisely to Etterbeek, to kind of highlight the mural of Le Chat that is in Etterbeek. And I did highlight it in another video of mine where I did a tour of Etterbeek, but it is a really long mural. There's a lot of drawings and it goes for the whole wall, so I thought that it'd be kind of cool to show it, and also kind of like to say that even though this is in Etterbeek, there is a mural of Le Chat, it is more in the center, and it's more precisely located close to la Gare du Midi. But yeah, this mural is really cool. Le Chat is basically the Belgian version of Garfield, and it was drawn in this newspaper called Le Soir from 1983 to 2013, and I really love it. It looks really cool. And I also wanted to say that this would probably be the great place to actually end this video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed going on this journey, looking at all the different murals in the center of the city. And if you did enjoy it, please be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, leave me a comment too. And yeah, maybe I'll do another future video in the future showing even more murals in Brussels. But for the meantime, have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.